San Quentin State Prison food, a century of death row menus. At 2:47 a.m. on a cold February morning, an inmate on San Quentin's death row makes a choice that will haunt corrections officers for decades. He refuses his final meal, not because he isn't hungry, but because what they're serving isn't fit for a dying man. But this story isn't about one inmate's last night. This is about the 170-year war over food inside America's most notorious prison, where meals have sparked riots, ended lives, and revealed the darkest truths about our justice system. What you're about to hear will change everything you think you know about prison food. Because at San Quentin, food isn't just sustenance, it's currency, it's punishment, it's survival, and sometimes, it's a weapon. The question isn't whether inmates deserve good food. The question is, what happens to human beings when you control the most basic necessity of life? San Quentin State Prison sits on the edge of San Francisco Bay, established in 1852. It's California's oldest prison and houses the state's only death row for male inmates. Behind these walls, over 3,700 inmates wake up every single day to the same question: what's for breakfast? But this isn't about preference or taste. This is about a system that's evolved, or devolved, over 170 years. From the gold rush era to today, San Quentin's kitchen has served over 250 million meals. That's 250 million opportunities for riots, poisonings, protests, and power plays. The food here tells a story that no documentary has fully captured. A story written in watered-down soup, mystery meat, and the creative desperation of men who've learned to survive on 2,400 calories a day, if they're lucky. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable story, I need you to do something. If you're fascinated by true crime stories that go beyond the surface, stories that reveal the hidden systems inside America's prisons, hit that subscribe button right now. Here's why. I spend weeks researching these stories, interviewing former inmates, corrections officers, and digging through decades of records that most people never see. Every week, I bring you prison stories that other channels won't touch. The real, unfiltered truth about life behind bars. And here's the thing, YouTube only shows my videos to subscribers who've turned on notifications. So click that bell icon, because you won't want to miss what comes next. We're about to walk through 24 hours inside San Quentin's food system, and what you'll discover will shock you. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Meet an inmate we'll call Jackson. He's been at San Quentin for 6 years, serving a 15-year sentence. Jackson isn't his real name, we're protecting his identity, but his story represents thousands of men cycling through this facility. Before prison, Jackson worked construction, ate at restaurants, cooked his own meals. He took food for granted, like most of us do. Now, at 6 a.m. sharp, Jackson wakes to the sound of keys rattling and steel doors clanging. Morning count. Guards walking past every cell, making sure everyone's accounted for. Jackson's been awake since 5:30 a.m., his stomach already growling. He knows breakfast won't come for another hour, and when it does, it might not be worth eating. But he'll eat it anyway, because in here, refusing food isn't rebellion, it's slow suicide. This is where our 24-hour journey begins. And Jackson's about to teach us the first rule of San Quentin: everything revolves around 3 meal times. Jackson remembers his last meal as a free man. Nothing fancy, a burger from In-N-Out, animal style, with fries and a chocolate shake. He ate it in his truck, not knowing it would be 6 years before he'd taste real cheese again. Before San Quentin, Jackson never thought about where food came from or how it was prepared. He ate when he was hungry. He chose what sounded good. In the free world, food is everywhere. Drive-thrus, delivery apps, 24-hour convenience stores. Americans waste 40% of the food they buy. We throw away what we don't finish. Inside San Quentin, inmates scrape their trays clean. They save bread in their cells. They trade food like Wall Street traders swap stocks. A pack of instant noodles, what you'd pay 50 cents for at a gas station, goes for $5 worth of commissary items inside. Jackson didn't understand any of this until his first week inside. That's when reality hit him harder than his sentence. While Jackson waits in his cell, The real action happens in San Quentin's massive kitchen facility. This industrial operation employs 80 inmate workers who wake up at 4:30 a.m. to start preparing breakfast for nearly 4,000 men. These kitchen workers are the prisoners' only hope for edible food, but they're working with a budget that would make a school cafeteria look luxurious. The California Department of Corrections allocates approximately $3.50 per inmate per day for all 3 meals. That's $1.16 per meal. Think about that. You can't buy a McDonald's coffee for $1.16, but California expects these kitchen workers to create a nutritionally complete breakfast for that amount. The menu this morning: watered-down oatmeal, 2 slices of white bread, a small portion of powdered scrambled eggs, and a piece of fruit if they're lucky, usually a bruised apple or overripe banana. The kitchen workers move fast. They have exactly 2 hours to prepare, portion, and distribute 4,000 breakfast trays. Any delay, and the guards get angry. When guards get angry, privileges disappear. 7:15 a.m., the assembly line. The kitchen operates like a factory assembly line, but instead of making cars, they're making survival rations. Inmate workers stand shoulder to shoulder, each assigned one component. First man, scoop of oatmeal. Second man, 2 bread slices. Third man, spoonful of eggs. Fourth man, piece of fruit. 30 seconds per tray, no more. At this pace, they'll finish just before 9 a.m. when breakfast service begins. But here's where it gets interesting. These kitchen workers have power. They control portion sizes. A friendly face might get an extra scoop. Someone who disrespected them last week? Their eggs might be mostly water. This silent economy operates under the guards' noses every single day. Kitchen workers are the most respected inmates in San Quentin, and the most vulnerable. Because if the food runs short, if portions don't match the count, if an inmate gets sick from contaminated food, the kitchen workers take the blame. One worker, we'll call him Martinez, has been in the kitchen for 3 years. He tells other inmates that working with food is both a blessing and a curse. You eat better, but you also see things that kill your appetite forever. 8:30 a.m., breakfast service. The call comes over the loudspeaker: breakfast service. All inmates return to cells. Those already locked down wait. Those in common areas move quickly. You don't want to miss a meal, no matter how bad it looks. Guards will metal carts stacked with trays through each cell block. The smell hits before the cart arrives, that distinct prison food odor that former inmates say they can never forget. It's not quite food, not quite cafeteria, something uniquely institutional. Jackson's tray slides under his door at 8:47 a.m. He looks down at his breakfast. The oatmeal is gray and watery, floating in its own liquid. The eggs are a pale yellow, rubbery and cold. The bread is okay, bread is hard to ruin. His apple has a soft brown spot the size of a quarter. This is a good day. Some days the fruit is moldy. Some days the oatmeal is burned. Some days the eggs smell like sulfur. He has 20 minutes to eat. After that, guards collect the trays. Food doesn't stay in cells, it attracts pests and creates sanitation issues. 20 minutes to fuel yourself until lunch, which is 6 hours away. 8:50 a.m., making it edible. Jackson has developed a system, like all long-term inmates do. He pulls out a plastic packet of hot sauce from his commissary stash, $2 for a small bottle that would cost 50 cents outside. He drowns the eggs in it. The oatmeal is unsalvageable, but he eats it anyway, mixing in the bread to give it texture. The apple he saves. Fruit is valuable. He can trade it for other items, or save it for later when hunger strikes in the middle of the night. Around San Quentin, every inmate has their tricks. Some save packets of mayonnaise and mustard from lunch to make breakfast sandwiches. Others hoard instant coffee to make the oatmeal taste like something. The commissary becomes essential. It's the only way to add flavor, variety, or actual nutrition to the state-provided meals. But commissary requires money. Not everyone has family sending funds. Those inmates eat what they're given, no modifications, no improvements. Nutritionists who've analyzed California prison menus confirm they meet minimum caloric requirements, 2,400 to 2,800 calories per day. But meeting requirements and providing actual nutrition are different things. Many inmates develop vitamin deficiencies, digestive issues, and chronic health problems directly linked to years of institutional food. 10 a.m. Food as social currency. Breakfast is over, but the conversation about food is just beginning. In the yard, inmates gather in groups. Food dominates discussions. Who got extra at breakfast? Whose eggs were cold? What's the rumor about today's lunch? At San Quentin, food talk isn't trivial, it's survival intelligence. Jackson joins his usual group. They're discussing a disturbing trend: portions have been shrinking over the past 6 months. Budget cuts mean less food per tray. The oatmeal is more water than oats now. The fruit portions are smaller. An older inmate named Thomas, who's been down for 23 years, says it's cyclical. Every few years, they cut portions. Then inmates start complaining, media gets involved, and portions go back up. Just wait. But waiting is hard when you're hungry. Some inmates have started skipping breakfast entirely, saving their appetite for lunch and dinner. Others eat everything they're given, then suffer through the hunger hours in between. The 3-meal schedule is non-negotiable. No snacks between meals unless you have commissary. Your body learns to adjust, or you learn to suffer. This is what Jackson didn't understand before coming inside: hunger is a constant companion in prison, even when you're eating 3 meals a day. 11 a.m. Lunch preparation begins. Back in the kitchen, the second shift begins. Lunch is typically the largest meal at San Quentin. The state tries to load most calories into the midday service. Today's menu: spaghetti with meat sauce, canned green beans, 2 slices of bread, and a small cup of fruit cocktail. On paper, it sounds reasonable. In execution, it's a different story. The meat sauce is more sauce than meat, ground turkey mixed with tomato paste, heavily diluted to stretch the portions. The kitchen received 400 pounds of ground turkey for 4,000 servings. That's 1.6 ounces of meat per person, about the size of a meatball. The green beans come from industrial-sized cans, each containing vegetables that have been sitting in salt water for months, maybe years. They're boiled further, removing any remaining nutrients and flavor. The spaghetti itself is the filler, cheap, bulk pasta that clumps together into a sticky mass. Kitchen workers know the secret: they slightly undercook it because by the time it's served, it will have been sitting in steam trays for hours, continuing to soften. An experienced kitchen worker named Davis has been preparing prison pasta for 5 years. He says the key is keeping everything moving. Stop stirring, and it becomes glue. 11:30 a.m. Kitchen conflict. Tension erupts in the kitchen when an inmate named Rodriguez accuses another worker of stealing food. It's a serious allegation. Kitchen theft is a major violation. It can cost you your job, your privileges, and add time to your sentence. Rodriguez claims he saw Thompson pocketing bread rolls meant for lunch service. The count was off by 12 rolls. Someone has to answer for it. Guards move in immediately. This is how riots start. Food theft triggers primal responses. When resources are scarce, theft becomes a survival issue. The head guard, Officer Patterson, pulls both inmates aside. He searches Thompson's area. No bread. He checks the count again. Turns out Rodriguez miscounted. The rolls are accounted for. False alarm. But the damage is done. Thompson and Rodriguez now have beef. In prison, accusations stick even when proven false. Their working relationship is destroyed. The kitchen supervisor, a long-timer named Williams, has to separate them, putting Rodriguez on breakfast shift and keeping Thompson on lunch. This kind of drama happens weekly in San Quentin's kitchen. Why? Because controlling food means power. And in a powerless environment, inmates grab whatever power they can find. Even if it's just determining who gets an extra scoop of spaghetti. 12 p.m. Lunch service. Lunch at San Quentin operates differently than breakfast. Instead of door service, most inmates line up in the cafeteria, assuming they're not in restricted housing. The cafeteria can hold 400 men at a time, meaning lunch service runs in shifts from noon until 2 p.m. Jackson's cell block is called at 12:30 p.m. He joins the line with hundreds of other men. The cafeteria smells like institutional food, that specific combination of overcooked vegetables, cheap tomato sauce, and industrial cleaning products. At the front of the line, kitchen workers serve from behind a metal barrier. Guard towers overlook the entire space. Any disturbance and the whole cafeteria goes on lockdown. Jackson reaches the front. His tray receives a large scoop of spaghetti, a smaller scoop of green beans, 2 slices of bread, and a cup of fruit cocktail. The worker serving him is someone from his yard group. Their eyes meet. The worker adds an extra half scoop of spaghetti. It's a small gesture, maybe 2 extra ounces of food, but Jackson nods in appreciation. This is alliance building in prison. Small favors. Mutual respect. Building networks that might save your life someday. He finds a seat with his group. They eat quickly. You have 25 minutes, then you're dismissed. 12:35 p.m. Cafeteria politics. The San Quentin cafeteria is a complex social ecosystem. Seating isn't random, it's carefully organized by race, gang affiliation, and social status. Violate these invisible boundaries and you risk violence. Kitchen workers sit together near the back. They're respected and protected, everyone needs them. Troublemakers sit near the front where guards can watch them closely. Jackson's group occupies middle territory. They're not gang affiliated, not causing problems, just doing their time. But even in this neutral zone, hierarchy exists. Thomas, the 23-year veteran, gets the best seat with a view of the entire room. He's the early warning system. If tension rises anywhere in the cafeteria, Thomas notices first. Today Thomas spots something concerning, a confrontation building between 2 tables on opposite sides of the room. Words are being exchanged. Guards haven't noticed yet. Thomas quietly alerts his group. They continue eating but stay ready to move. In a prison cafeteria, violence erupts suddenly. A food fight can become a stabbing in seconds. Trays become weapons. Forks become shanks. The tension breaks when a guard finally notices and separates the 2 groups. Crisis averted. Jackson finishes his spaghetti, drinks his water, and drops his tray in the collection area. He's learned something important, even mealtime in prison requires constant vigilance. We're halfway through this 24-hour journey, and what you're learning is just the beginning. Before we continue, I need your help. If you're finding this story as fascinating as I think you are, hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who are curious about the real truth behind prison walls. And here's something I want to know, what surprises you most so far? Is it the $1.16 per meal budget? The complex social rules around prison food? Or maybe the fact that kitchen workers have so much power? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and your insights often give me ideas for future videos. Here's what's coming in the second half. We're about to explore dinner service, the commissary system, and the most shocking part, what happens on death row. The food situation there is completely different, and when you hear why, you'll understand something dark about our justice system. We're also going to reveal what a last meal actually looks like at San Quentin, and it's not what you think. Stay with me. The most intense part of this story is still ahead. 2 p.m. Commissary call. Twice a week, inmates can visit the commissary, San Quentin's internal store. This is where the real food economy operates. Jackson has $75 in his account this month, sent by his sister. It's not much, but it's survival. The commissary sells instant noodles, chips, cookies, candy bars, coffee, and other shelf-stable items. Prices are marked up 20 to 30% above retail. That bag of chips that costs $3 outside? $5 here. Jackson's strategy is careful. He buys 10 packs of instant ramen, $1.50 each, a jar of peanut butter, $6, a box of crackers, $4, 2 bags of chips, $10 total, 3 candy bars, $9, and instant coffee, $8. His total, $52.50. He saves the rest for next week. These items will supplement his state meals for the next 7 days. Inmates without commissary money suffer more. They eat only what the state provides. Some find work assignments that pay pennies per hour, literally. A kitchen job pays 30 to 50 cents per hour. After a full month of full-time work, an inmate might earn $50 to $70, all of which gets spent on commissary. Others depend on family support. Those without either? They're the hungriest. 3 p.m., cell survival. Back in his cell, Jackson organizes his commissary haul. Storage is limited, a small metal shelf and the space under his bunk. He hides the good stuff. Theft is common, even from cellmates. His current cellmate is trustworthy, but you never assume. Candy bars go in a sock taped under the bunk frame. Ramen stays visible. Stealing someone's ramen is low-level disrespect, not worth the consequences. Jackson's learned to stretch commissary items. 1 ramen packet can become 2 meals if you add saved bread from lunch and dinner. Peanut butter on crackers is a complete protein source, better than anything the state provides. Coffee is both a beverage and a trading commodity. Some inmates value coffee more than cigarettes. But here's the obstacle: commissary access is restricted. If you get written up for any violation, commissary privileges disappear for weeks or months. If the prison goes on lockdown due to violence or security threats, commissary closes. During COVID-19, commissary was suspended for months. Inmates who relied on supplemental nutrition suffered dramatically. Weight loss, malnutrition, and health complications spiked. This creates a constant anxiety. Jackson knows that any day, his access to decent food could vanish. The state meals alone aren't enough. Ask any nutritionist who studied prison food. 2,400 calories of processed, low-quality food doesn't equal 2,400 calories of nutritious meals. 4:30 p.m., the hunger hours. This is the hardest time of day at San Quentin. Lunch is long digested. Dinner won't arrive for 2 more hours. Inmates call this the hunger hours, when your stomach reminds you that 3 institutional meals aren't enough. Jackson drinks water to fill his stomach. Some inmates sleep to pass the time. Others obsess over what dinner might be. The prison runs on routine, but the menu varies. Dinner options include baked chicken, usually processed chicken product, beef stew, mostly potatoes with small meat chunks, fish, typically frozen fish sticks or patties, beans and rice, or occasionally mystery casserole, combinations of leftovers that defy description. Whatever tonight's meal is, it won't be enough. Thomas tells a story that illustrates the breaking point. 3 years ago, the prison changed beef suppliers to save money. The new meat was tougher, fattier, less edible. Inmates complained for weeks. Nothing changed. Then, during a dinner service, an entire cell block refused to eat. They left their trays untouched, a coordinated protest. Guards documented the waste. Media got involved. 2 weeks later, the prison switched suppliers. But protests are risky. Organizing collective action in prison can be labeled a riot or disturbance. The organizers faced disciplinary segregation. Sometimes changing the food isn't worth the punishment. So most inmates suffer silently, day after day, meal after meal. 5 p.m., dinner preparation. The kitchen workers are exhausted. They've been working since 4:30 a.m. with only short breaks. Now they're preparing the final meal. Tonight it's baked chicken, mashed potatoes, mixed vegetables, bread, and a cookie. The chicken arrived frozen in bulk boxes, individual portions of processed, reformed chicken breast. The potatoes are instant, powder mixed with water and margarine. The vegetables are frozen mixed vegetables boiled into submission. This is where quality collapses completely. By dinner service, kitchen workers are tired, guards are irritable, and everyone wants the day over. Shortcuts happen. Potatoes get lumpy. Chicken gets overcooked or undercooked. Vegetables turn to mush. The cookie is the only universally liked item, hard to ruin a mass-produced cookie. But here's the decision these workers face daily: maintain standards or just get through it? Some workers take pride in their jobs. They try to make the food as good as possible within the limitations. Others have stopped caring. They've been beaten down by the system, the criticism, the thankless nature of feeding thousands of people garbage meals. Williams, the kitchen supervisor, does his best to maintain morale, but it's a losing battle. He tells new kitchen workers the same thing: we're not making gourmet food. We're making fuel. Try to make it fuel that doesn't poison anyone. 6 p.m. Dinner service. Dinner service begins with the same loudspeaker announcement: dinner service. All inmates return to designated areas. Jackson's cell block gets tray service tonight, they're on rotation. Cafeteria one night, tray service the next. The cart arrives at 6:20 p.m. His tray slides under the door: chicken that's dry and rubbery, mashed potatoes that look like wallpaper paste, mixed vegetables swimming in water, bread, and a cookie. He saves the cookie immediately. That's tonight's dessert after he uses his commissary items. The chicken is barely edible. He eats it anyway, using his hoarded hot sauce. The potatoes need salt, inmates can't get salt. The state limits sodium for health reasons, which sounds good in theory, but in practice means everything tastes bland. The vegetables are colorful but flavorless: corn, peas, and carrots boiled until they're mushy. Jackson finishes in 15 minutes. He's not satisfied. He's not hungry enough to feel pain, but he's not full. This is the perpetual state of prison eating. The trays are collected at 6:45 p.m. 3 meals down. Tomorrow he'll do it again. And the next day. And the next. For inmates serving long sentences, this repetition becomes psychological torture. 15 years of bad food. 20 years. Some men at San Quentin have been eating this way for 30 or 40 years. 7 p.m., the real dinner. Now Jackson prepares what he calls his real dinner. He fills his plastic prison cup with hot water from the communal tap. He adds 2 ramen packets, breaking them into chunks. While they soften, he spreads peanut butter on commissary crackers. This is his supplement, the meal that makes the day tolerable. The ramen is spicy chicken flavor, loaded with sodium and artificial flavoring, but compared to prison food it tastes like restaurant quality. Some inmates get creative. They've invented prison spreads, elaborate meals made from commissary items. A spread might include crushed chips, multiple ramen packs, squeezed cheese, beef sticks, hot sauce, and hot water, all mixed together in a trash bag and left to cook in hot water. The result is a high-calorie, high-sodium prison feast that inmates swear tastes better than anything from the kitchen. Jackson keeps it simple. His ramen and peanut crackers give him the calories and satisfaction the state meal didn't provide. This is survival in San Quentin. The state gives you enough to live, but not enough to thrive. Commissary makes up the difference, if you can afford it. Here's the dark reality: California saves money by providing inadequate meals, knowing that inmates and their families will spend money at marked-up commissary prices. It's a hidden tax on incarceration. 8:15 p.m., emergency lockdown. Sirens blast through the cell block. Lockdown. All movement stops. Guards rush through corridors. Jackson and his cellmate exchange looks. What happened? Lockdowns occur for various reasons: violence, contraband discoveries, medical emergencies, or security threats. The cause doesn't matter. The result is the same: everyone confined to cells indefinitely. The timing is terrible. Some inmates were in the bathroom. Others were in the day room. They're now stuck wherever they are. Guards shout orders: lock down. Everyone down. Men drop to the floor or freeze in place. This is procedure. follow orders or get written up. The cause emerges through whispers and shouting between cells, a fight in the kitchen. 2 inmates went at each other with cleaning supplies. One has serious injuries. An ambulance is coming. The kitchen is now a crime scene, which means something critical. Breakfast tomorrow is cancelled or severely delayed. Jackson realizes the implications immediately. No breakfast means his commissary becomes even more important. A lockdown can last hours or days. If it extends past commissary day, he'll miss his shopping opportunity. His carefully rationed supplies might have to stretch longer than planned. This is the unexpected twist that makes prison life unstable. Just when you've figured out the routine, something disrupts it. And food scarcity becomes food crisis. 9:30 p.m., confrontation spreads. The lockdown continues. Frustration builds. Inmates start shouting between cells, demanding information. Some yell at guards, "What's happening? When do we eat? How long is this lockdown?" Guards don't answer, it's policy. Don't engage during security situations. But silence creates panic. Rumors spread faster than truth in prison. Someone shouts that the kitchen worker died. Someone else claims it was gang-related. Another voice insists it's a setup, guards attacking inmates. None of it's verified, but everyone believes something. Jackson's cellmate, a younger inmate named Marcus, is getting agitated. He's only been down 3 months. He hasn't learned patience yet. "This is bullshit," Marcus says. "They can't starve us. That's illegal." Jackson tries to calm him. "They're not starving us. We ate 2 hours ago. This is just procedure." But Marcus doesn't understand prison time yet. 2 hours feels like 6. Uncertainty feels like cruelty. He starts pacing the small cell, 6 steps one way, turn, 6 steps back. This is how tension escalates. One agitated inmate influences others. Soon multiple cells are banging on doors, shouting, protesting. Guards call for backup. The confrontation is spreading from the kitchen incident to a cell block disturbance. This is exactly how riots start. One incident cascades into facility-wide chaos. Jackson knows this. He's seen it before. He stays quiet, stays calm, and hopes Marcus does the same. 10:15 p.m., the cost. Guards in riot gear arrive. They identify the loudest agitators. Cell doors open one by one. 5 inmates are removed from the cell block, including 2 from Jackson's section. They're taken to administrative segregation, the hole. They'll spend 30 days in isolation for inciting a disturbance. No commissary. No phone calls. No visits. 23 hours a day in a concrete box with even worse food. Marcus watches through the cell window, finally silent. He understands now. Making noise has consequences. The lockdown continues for the rest of the cell block, but the confrontation is over. Guards have reasserted control. The message is clear: comply or suffer. Jackson explains it to Marcus: "In here, you have to know when to push back and when to accept it. This wasn't worth fighting. We're not starving. We're just inconvenienced." Marcus nods, learning the hard lesson that every inmate eventually learns: prison breaks your will to resist, one incident at a time. The consequence isn't just for those 5 inmates. Tomorrow, the entire cell block will face restricted privileges. Yard time reduced. Day room access cancelled. Phone calls limited. When individuals act out, everyone pays. This creates social pressure. Inmates police each other because they don't want to lose privileges over someone else's mistake. By 10:45 p.m., the lockdown is lifted. Everyone's exhausted. The day ends in tension and uncertainty about tomorrow. 11 p.m., the system revealed. As Jackson lies in his bunk, he reflects on something he's learned over 6 years: the food system at San Quentin isn't broken, it's designed exactly as intended. The inadequate portions, the poor quality, the dependence on commissary, it's all intentional. California saves millions on food costs while profiting from commissary sales. Inmates and families bear the real cost. Recent investigations revealed that California's prison food budget hasn't increased since 2008, despite food costs rising over 40% in that time. The $3.50 per day allocation is essentially $2.10 in 2008 dollars. The state knows this. They've seen the reports. Legislators have heard testimony from former inmates and nutritionists. Nothing changes. Why? Because prisoners can't vote. They have no political power. Their families are too scattered and disenfranchised to organize effectively. And most taxpayers don't want to fund better meals for criminals. It's politically toxic to advocate for improved prison food while schools are underfunded and homeless populations grow. This is the revelation Jackson had years ago. He's not serving his time in a broken system that needs fixing. He's serving his time in a system working exactly as designed. The cruelty is the point. The discomfort is intentional. The constant low-level suffering from inadequate food is part of the punishment beyond the sentence itself. This keeps him up some nights. Not the hunger. The understanding. 11:45 p.m., death row difference. While Jackson tries to sleep, a different reality exists in San Quentin's death row unit. Here, approximately 700 inmates await execution in condemned status. Their food situation is different, not better, necessarily, but different. Death row inmates don't go to the cafeteria. They don't work in kitchens. They're tray service only, in their cells, for every meal. The portions are the same. The quality is the same. But the isolation is worse. At least general population inmates can socialize during meals, trade food, share resources. Death row inmates eat alone, every single meal, sometimes for decades. Some men on death row have been there for 30 or 40 years, eating every meal in a cell smaller than your bathroom. The legendary last meal tradition has changed too. California eliminated the special last meal in 2011 after Texas did the same. The reason? An inmate ordered an elaborate last meal, didn't eat it, and the waste made headlines. Now, death row inmates facing execution get the same meal as everyone else that day. If spaghetti is on the menu, that's your last meal. No special requests. No final comfort food from childhood. This is the turning point in understanding San Quentin's food system. Even in death, there's no dignity. Even at the end, the system denies basic human compassion. The meal on your last day is the same mystery meat you've been eating for decades. 5:30 a.m., the cycle continues. Jackson wakes to his 6th year of San Quentin mornings. Yesterday's lockdown is over. The kitchen fight resulted in both inmates losing their jobs and spending months in segregation. The kitchen is cleaned. New workers are already replacing them. Breakfast will be served on time at 8:30 a.m. The system absorbs disruptions and continues operating. 9 more years. That's what Jackson has left on his sentence. 9 more years of oatmeal and mystery meat. 9 more years of commissary rationing and hunger hours. 9 more years of food as control, food as currency, food as a reminder that he's not free. But he's learned something valuable: survival requires adaptation. He's figured out the commissary strategy. He knows which kitchen workers will give bigger portions. He's learned to eat what's given, supplement what's lacking, and never waste food. These skills will serve him until his release date in 2033. Some inmates never adapt. They fight the system constantly, protesting food quality, refusing meals, getting written up repeatedly. Those inmates suffer more. Jackson's realized that acceptance isn't defeat, it's strategy. Accept the reality, work within it, and survive with your dignity intact. The state controls his location, his schedule, and his food. But they can't control his attitude toward it. Years later, the aftermath. Former San Quentin inmates report that prison food affects them long after release. Many develop lasting digestive issues, their bodies adjusted to years of processed, low-quality food. Others struggle with food anxiety, hoarding behaviors, or difficulty enjoying meals. The psychological impact runs deep. One former inmate, released after 18 years, describes going to a restaurant for the first time in nearly 2 decades. He ordered a simple cheeseburger and fries. When it arrived, he couldn't eat. The portion was too large. The flavors were too intense. He'd forgotten what real food tasted like. It took him months to readjust to normal eating. Another describes the strange guilt of throwing away food. In prison, you finish everything. Nothing gets wasted. When I got out and couldn't finish a meal, I felt physically sick wasting it. I still save leftovers compulsively. My refrigerator is full of containers with single bites of food I can't bring myself to throw away. The health consequences are documented: higher rates of diabetes, heart disease, and obesity among formerly incarcerated individuals, partially attributed to years of poor institutional nutrition followed by sudden access to unlimited food. The transition from scarcity to abundance creates its own problems. For many, prison food becomes a permanent scar, not on their bodies, but on their relationship with eating itself. San Quentin's food system reflects a larger truth about American incarceration: we've created a system that punishes beyond the sentence. The food isn't bad by accident, it's bad by design. Compare it to other countries. Norway's prisons include cooking classes and communal kitchens where inmates prepare their own meals with fresh ingredients. German prisons serve meals that meet strict nutritional standards and include cultural food options. Even maximum security facilities in these countries recognize that food is a basic human need, not a privilege to be minimized. The United States imprisons more people than any country in history, over 2 million individuals. If we applied Norway's food standards to American prisons, it would cost approximately $6 billion annually, more than current spending. That sounds expensive until you realize America spends over $80 billion per year on incarceration total. Better food would represent a 7.5% increase, a rounding error in the corrections budget. But the question isn't whether we can afford better prison food. The question is whether we believe prisoners deserve it. And in America, the answer has consistently been no. We've decided that suffering is part of the punishment. Not just loss of freedom, but daily discomfort, indignity, and deprivation. Here's the lesson Jackson learned and every inmate learns eventually: society doesn't just want to remove criminals from society. It wants them to suffer while removed. Food is just one method of achieving that suffering. If you've made it this far, you now understand something most people never will: the daily reality of prison food at San Quentin. From the $1.16 meal budget to the complex social hierarchies around the cafeteria, from the commissary economy to the psychological toll of eating the same bad food for years or decades, you've seen it all. But here's what I need from you: this story needs to reach more people. The only way the system changes is if enough people understand it. Hit that subscribe button right now. We're building a community of people who want to understand the truth about America's prison system, not the sanitized version you see on TV. I upload new prison deep dives every week, stories about solitary confinement, gang dynamics, corruption, reform efforts, and more. Turn on notifications so you don't miss them. And drop a comment: what shocked you most about San Quentin's food system? Would you survive on these meals? Next week, we're investigating a maximum security prison in Texas where the food situation is even worse, and where inmates organized the largest hunger strike in modern prison history. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching, for learning, and for caring about issues most people ignore. I'll see you in the next video. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, these are real human beings behind these walls, eating this food every single day.